Okay, welcome back everyone. This video is going to accompany chapter 4.4 and we're going to be talking about muscle tissue. Muscle tissue is described as being excitable, which means it responds to stimuli. And it's contractile, which means that it can shorten, which generates a pulling force. Contractions of muscles are what causes your bones to be able to move. Some muscle movement is considered voluntary, which means it's under conscious control, right? You can move your head to the left or the right, you can wave your hand, you can walk. But some is called involuntary, which means it's not under your conscious control, like your heart beating, or your stomach doing some mechanical digestion, or the contraction of your pupil to a bright light. These are things that you can't control with your mind. And also, you wouldn't want to, right? You wouldn't want to have to think about pumping your heart every second of the day, right? So we'll talk about three types of muscle tissue today: the skeletal, cardiac, and the smooth. Skeletal muscle is the muscle that is attached to bones. It allows for locomotion, facial expression, posture, and other sorts of voluntary movements. It also generates heat as a byproduct of contraction, so it participates in thermal homeostasis. That's shivering. Shivering is actually an involuntary movement that is associated with the skeletal muscle, and it happens when there's a perceived lower than normal body temperature, right? When you get cold, you just start shivering, and that's to warm your body up. The muscle cell itself is called a myocyte, and it derives from the myoblasts that are derived from the mesoderm. Skeletal muscle appears striated under the microscope. Let's take a look. So this is what it looks like under a microscope. It's striated because you'll see right here. Uh, the striation is due to this regular alternation of the contractile proteins, which are actin and myosin, and along with other structural proteins. But basically, you can see right here, this is the striation that we're talking about. So let's move on. Let's talk about cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscle forms the contractile walls of the heart. Cardiac sounds like what you would think of the cardiovascular system. The cells of cardiac muscles are called cardiomyocytes. They also appear striated and they're also branched. I'll show you that in a second. But unlike muscle cells, these cells are only going to contain a single nucleus. These cells contract on their own intrinsic rhythms without any external stimulation. Their actions are synchronous due to their cell junctions, which are called intercalated discs. And cardiac muscle is, of course, under involuntary control. Let's take a look at what that looks like. So you can still see striation, of course, but you can see that there are also this branching happens. And whenever you see this branching, you know right away that this is cardiac muscle. Okay, the last one is smooth muscle. And smooth muscle, the contraction of smooth muscle is responsible for the involuntary movements in the internal organs, like in your digestive system, the urinary system, the reproductive systems. Each cell is spindle-shaped with a single nucleus and not striated like the name smooth muscle suggests. Let's take a look at what that looks like. So you can see no striations happening here, and this is what smooth muscle looks like under a microscope. So with that, it's a very, very simple and short video, and we will pick back up with chapter 4.5, the nervous tissue, next.